Hello and welcome to this brief tutorial of being a Quality Matters Chair. First, we want to thank you so much for agreeing to serve as a Quality Matters Chair. We know that this is a process that can be time consuming, but it also helps us to increase our online offerings. And so we want to spend just a little time going over the 8 magical tips to remember when serving as a chair. First, I want to remind you the first tip is that a peer review meeting is required. Every new peer review team has a QM chair as well as 2 other meeting members. This meeting can be done by phone. Freeconferencecall.com is a great option and one I actually use. Or you can do it by webinar. You can go to our website to figure out how to schedule a GoToMeeting. Or you can do it in person, and you can always come to our eLab 106 to do this. Second, as a QM chair, you need to work with your faculty to first make sure that the team has access to the course. If a team member comes to you and tells you that they do not see the course in their course offerings, the first thing you should do is contact Ruth Lawrence. She will be able to go in through the Blackboard site and make sure that all reviewers are in the course. The next thing you will notice is when I send you an email with required materials, you will have the following items. 1, a copy of the Quality Matters rubric. 2, the completed online review form that the faculty member who created the course has completed. 3, a collective score sheet. And 4, the peer reviewer form. The items outlined in red will all need to go in a forwarded email to your peer reviewers on your team. A couple of things to note in tip 4 are things to notice during the active review. 1, please note that the active review is only 3 weeks. Make sure that you think about when you're working with your faculty peer reviewers, you figure out this 3-week time period when the actual review will get started. Once the review is completed, make sure that you get all of the peer review sheets and review those to make sure that all of the material that has been completed out properly. And remember that a peer review does not require consensus, but majority. So as you look through and you're tallying the sheets, you may find that 2 reviewers say that a standard is met and 1 says that it's not. Under QM's guidelines, that standard will be met. Also to remember during the review is to take the student's perspective. Remind your peer reviewers of this as they are reviewing the course. As faculty, we have lots of great experience and background, but it's important that when we're reviewing new online and hybrid courses that we're taking the student's perspective. Also make sure to apply the 85% rule and remind your reviewers of this rule. Remind your reviewers that we're not looking for perfection in the course. We're not looking for everything to be perfect. But if you can look in the course and see that there's 85 proficiency on a specific standard, that standard should be met. So for instance, if you're looking at a standard that talks about learning objectives being measurable, if 4 of the 5 learning objectives are measurable, you would go ahead and mark that standard as having been met and then write a helpful recommendation. Remember, any standard that is not met, you as well as the reviewers must write a helpful recommendation. A helpful recommendation according to QM standards must include 5 things. 1, it must be constructive. 2, it must be specific. 3, it must be measurable. 4, it must be sensitive. And lastly, it must be balanced. Make sure to remind your reviewers of this, and as you are reviewing their score sheets that they turn in, if you see that any standard is not met, make sure that all reviewers have offered a helpful recommendation. They are also great to offer in times when a standard is met. If there's something else that you think the faculty member can do, you can always offer a helpful recommendation. Tip number 6. For a course to meet, it must, at University of District of Columbia, meet all 3 pointers. If you remember during the QM review, there are 3 different scoring systems. You have 3 pointers, 2 pointers, and 1 pointers. All 3 pointers, which are essential in the course, must be met for the course to pass. If you find that there is an essential that is not being met and it's something small the faculty can do, please reach out to that faculty member, ask them to make the adjustment while the review is going on, and then have the reviewers review that item. Lastly, for a course to be met, it must have at least 81 of the 95 points. As we know, all items of the standards are not 3-pointers, and so we're looking for at least 81 points of the 95. Tip 7. Make sure to schedule a post-review call only if necessary. Some review QM chairs decided to always do this, but it is not necessary unless you find that there are large differences of opinion. I've seen QM chairs that have had a post-review, and the peer review members have noticed that there has just been a discrepancy in what one reviewer saw versus the others. So sometimes having that a final conversation allows all reviewers to talk about any major concerns in the course, and also be able to talk about maybe things that were overlooked in the course by one reviewer, or to really grapple with some serious issues. But know that that pre-review team is required, and a post-review team is required if necessary. And lastly, compile all completed documents. When the review is complete, we'll be looking for you to complete that collective reviewing score guide, as well as all peer reviewer forms. So the email will be sent with those 4 items. So you will have 3 peer reviewer forms plus a completed collective review scoring guide completed. Thank you again for agreeing to be a Quality Matters Chair here at the University of District of Columbia. If any questions come up during this QM process, please feel free to contact Dr. Carl Moore. His email address is listed here. Thank you again for all that you do.